This is CBN NewsWatch.
And thanks for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Heather Sells. We begin today with the battle over abortion front and center at the Alabama State Capitol. The House Health Committee passed a bill following a public hearing that would make performing an abortion a felony. And CBN's Caitlin Burke joins us now with more. Caitlin, talk about the idea behind this pro-life bill.
Right. So, Heather, we keep reporting on new legislation aimed at limiting abortion coming from several states like Indiana, Texas, North Carolina, and now Alabama, where the proposed law would ban almost all abortions there. If passed, performing or attempting to perform an abortion would be a felony, with the only exception for saving the life of the mother. It now goes on to the House floor for a full vote. Now, pro-life advocates there and in other states say the goal is for lawmakers on the state level to keep churning out measure after measure so that some of the cases will end up getting appealed all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. That would affect the entire country. And an Indiana law dealing with civil rights for the unborn could be the case that pro-lifers have been waiting for if the Supreme Court decides to take it up.
Indiana is actually the only state that's passed a law that protects unborn children based upon their civil rights, that prohibits abortion based upon a child's color of the skin, sex, national origin, disability, or Down syndrome. So the court has never addressed the civil rights of unborn children before.
Now, there are several other pro-life state measures from Indiana alone that are waiting to see if they'll be taken up by the Supreme Court, and we will keep you posted on this bill in Alabama.
A lot of possibilities. Thanks, Caitlin. Well, right now, Lisa Hogan with Save a Life of Alabama joins us, and she is the executive director of their pro-life pregnancy test centers across the state. Welcome, Lisa.
Well, thank you. It's good to be here.
Tell us about this hearing today. It sounds like there was a lot of interest from both sides in this bill.
There was. It was very well attended. The committee meeting was very well attended. From what I understand, several proponents and opponents of the bill had an opportunity to give emotional testimony. But thankfully, the committee passed the bill, and it'll go on to the floor now.
All right, and what do you think are the chances of this passing? This is really a very different kind of bill, calling abortion a felony.
Yeah, I think it will eventually pass through here. Of course, now the reality is it may get held up by the ACLU or some other, because it'll be an embattled bill, of course. But the good news is it sets us up to be able to go back to the Supreme Court eventually and maybe eventually overturn Roe v. Wade.
Talk a little bit about that strategy, because there's a number of laws out there, bills, as we were just discussing, that could potentially make it up to the Supreme Court. What might be the hope behind this bill to make it all the way up to the Supreme Court?
Because it is such a, it is all-encompassing. It is a felony. It becomes a felony to take the life of the child. And of course, last fall, Alabama voted on Amendment 2, which upheld the sanctity of human life and upheld the rights of the unborn child. So that kind of set the precedent for this bill to be introduced. There's actually a young man in Huntsville that is suing because he did not have a decision in the, a choice in the abortion decision that his girlfriend made. So, that all of these things are coming out just to make the issue of life even more obvious to people who seem to think that the pro-choice side or the pro-abortion side is the only way to go, that women are only interested in that.
Yeah, it's really interesting, all the action at the state level right now. How would you characterize the pro-life movement in Alabama at this point in time?
We are a very pro-life friendly state, thank goodness. We have some pretty strict abortion laws already. There's a 24-hour waiting period between counseling, and an ultrasound is a must, even though they're not required to look at the ultrasound. It is a must prior to the abortion. We only have 4 operating clinics in the state of Alabama, abortion clinics in the state of Alabama right now. So we're a very, very friendly state when it comes to the pro-life issue.
Yeah, and Lisa, I know a lot of critics would say you want to save babies, but you don't want to help their mothers. Tell us a little bit about your services.
That nothing could be further from the truth. Our job here is to meet clients, mothers and dads for that matter, right where they are. We want them to know they're in a safe place. We're not judging them for anything. We provide all of the services and programs we do to help them. Our goal is to help them to make an informed decision. We're not going to tell them what to do. We're not here to do that. We're just here to give them all of the options that are available to them, with the understanding that whatever you decide, you're more than welcome to come back here. And then we supplement that with educational programs. We have free STD testing for both men and women. We can offer initial prenatal visits at our center here. I mean, there's just a lot of options because we genuinely care about the health of the mom first. And then if we make an impact there, yeah, we very well can save the life of a child along the way.
All right. Well, Lisa Hogan with Save a Life, a lot going in Alabama right now. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Well, there is division at a Nebraska high school over transgender students. Female students at the school are asking for privacy in their bathrooms after a male who transitioned into a female began using the female facilities. 20 girls at Council Bluffs High School staged a walkout last week chanting, "We want privacy," and he is a male. Well, another 40 students did the same in favor of transgender students using whichever restroom they want. One of the largest Christian universities on the West Coast has named a new president. He says he wants to restore unity on campus amid concerns of theological drift. Dr. Paul Ferguson will succeed President John Wallace at Azusa Pacific University. Ferguson told the Christian Post that he wants to promote unity after the school was criticized for lifting its ban on homosexual relationships. "My goal," he said, "is to come in and contribute to support and promote unity on campus, and to do that within a framework of Christian love and concern." That is a message that I am bringing today. Well, French President Emmanuel Macron held a special meeting today to launch the rebuilding of the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris. Equipment and supplies began arriving today as firefighters continued to monitor the building to avoid collapse after Monday's fire engulfed the flamed structure. Paris firefighters say the cathedral's rose windows are in good shape, but that their support structures are at risk. Macron has projected the cathedral will be renovated by 2024 when the city is set to host the Olympics. Nearly $1 billion has been pledged for the restoration. Republican Congressman and retired Navy SEAL Dan Crenshaw is defending his criticism of Ilhan Omar's 9/11 comments and blasting Democrats who still refuse to condemn the Congresswoman's statement. In an exclusive interview with CBN's Abigail Robertson, Crenshaw said it was wrong for Omar to downplay the worst terror attack on American soil. Speaking at a fundraiser for the Council on American Islamic Relations, or CAIR, last month, she used the phrase, "some people did something," in reference to the attacks. That outraged many Americans, including Crenshaw. Omar supporters say her comment was taken out of context.
The next accusation they tried to make was, you're only attacking her because she's a Muslim woman. Again, that's nonsense. You're a member of Congress, and a member of Congress, by the way, who's constantly elevating your status, right? And saying, like, I should have a better voice because of these things. Well, okay, but then you can't also go the opposite direction and say you're not allowed to talk to me or criticize me because of my identity. That's a really weak argument. And if you're making that argument, it indicates that you don't have a strong set of ideas in the first place that you can defend.
Crenshaw denies criticism from Omar and other Democrats that the president and he himself have incited violence against her. Tiana Lowe with the Washington Examiner joins us now, and she recently wrote an opinion piece challenging House Speaker Nancy Pelosi to stop letting, quote, like 5 people run the House. Tiana, welcome. Your piece talks about the influence of Omar and others who you say are running the House. What are your thoughts on Representative Crenshaw's call for Democrats to do something about her 9/11 comments?
Well, it's less just the comments on their own. Obviously she used extremely cavalier language to describe the worst domestic terrorist attack on American soil. But if she had simply said, I didn't mean to phrase it that way, I was simply discussing bigotry against Muslims in particular, and we are separate from those jihadist terrorists, I think that this would have passed. But it's a problem that it's a part of a pattern where she continuously appears to not take their terrorism against Americans seriously, and should continue to double down on the comments. And the fact is that there's no real retribution from Democratic leadership for doing this. She still sits on the very prestigious House Foreign Affairs Committee, despite having no qualifications for being there, and despite advocating for really dangerous foreign policy.
Yeah, it's really an interesting situation. Who are the others besides Omar that you see as running the House right now, if you will?
Well, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez got 6 senators who are all running for president to co-sponsor a non-binding resolution that wants to combat climate change by abolishing carbon capture, carbon taxes, and nuclear energy. When McConnell called their bluff and called the vote to the Senate floor, 0 Democrats voted yes on it. And so it just goes to show that Pelosi's really handed over the reins. She has not taken any serious measures to take a stand against insurgent extremism in the Democratic Party.
Well, how do you see this all playing out going forward for the Democratic Party, especially given the 2020 election coming up?
Well, if you look at the electorate, only 18% of Democrats are in favor of legalizing third trimester abortion. Fewer than 4 in 10 Americans are supportive of a Medicare for All bill that abolishes private insurance. Yet that's what the Democrats running for president want, and that's what a lot of the most vocal Democrats in the Senate and in the House have been saying. However, if you look at the actual House caucus among Democrats, the overwhelming majority are moderates. The new Democratic coalition, that's almost half of the Democratic caucus. The fiscal hawks of the Blue Dog Democrats have increased their numbers since in 2018. So Pelosi would be wise to listen to this extremely moderate freshman class, the largest Democratic freshman class since Watergate. Instead, she's listening to like 5 people, and she's going on magazine covers with like 5 people, and she's refusing to punish like 5 people who continue to debase the integrity of the Democratic Party.
Do you hear much talk among Republicans about trying to capitalize on this situation, this dissension within the Democratic Party?
Well, certainly. And I think that Trump knows that Democrats are handing him a gift. If he's running, he is, all things considered, a historically unfavorable president. If he were running against a centrist Democrat whose entire pitch was, if you want stability, if you want sanity, if you want a return from chaos, vote for me, Trump would be in big trouble. But if you are dealing with candidates who want to legalize abortion up until the point of birth, and candidates who want to abolish the entire private healthcare industry, nationalizing 1/5 of the American economy, that is a lot more for him to work with.
Tiana Lowe, we are out of time, but thank you for your comments. Very interesting election cycle coming up here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Coming up, details on an investigation into one city's decision not to allow a Chick-fil-A to open at one of the nation's airports.
CBN presents The I Wills of God, your path to overcoming fear and anxiety.
We're going to talk about some of the incredible promises God has made to His children.
In Pat Robertson's newest teaching, you'll discover the I Wills of God. I will rescue him, protect him, answer him, be with him in trouble, deliver him, honor him, satisfy him with long life, show him my salvation, and see amazing stories of God's promises in action.
What I felt was loved and treasured.
God spared my life twice in 3 days.
The good Lord had given me a second chance.
Break free from stress and despair.
The Lord doesn't want you to live in fear, but to know the rewards given to those who love God.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or visit CBN.com. The I Wills of God, your path to overcoming fear and anxiety.
Remember for a moment what it was like to be a child. You believed every story you were told. You saw a world full of endless possibilities. What stories will the world's orphaned and at-risk children believe? We believe the Bible tells the only story truly worth believing. We believe that every child should have the opportunity to dream, the chance to take challenges and turn them into possibilities, the chance to stand on the promises of God, to recognize their place in the greatest story ever told. They have their whole lives ahead of them. Theirs is a world of endless possibilities. They are looking for a story to believe. We will tell them that story. Will you join us?
There's a big fight over Chick-fil-A at 3 U.S. airports right now. In San Antonio, the city council recently voted to remove the chicken restaurant from its concession contract at the airport. The San Antonio Express News says the councilman who led the charge, Roberto Trevino, cited Chick-fil-A's, quote, legacy of anti-LGBTQ behavior. Councilman and mayoral candidate Greg Brockhouse told CBN News Today that the council will reconsider the move at its Thursday night meeting. In the meantime, First Liberty, a Dallas-based religious liberty law firm, is investigating the city's decision. And attorney Keisha Russell joins us now with more. Keisha, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
What is your concern with this decision as it stands by the San Antonio City Council?
Well, the concern is that the city council member is discriminated against Chick-fil-A just because it's a Christian organization that gives to other Christian organizations. This violates the Constitution and a whole host of federal regulations. By receiving federal grants, San Antonio members agree that they won't discriminate on the basis of religion, which is why First Liberty wrote the Department of Transportation and asked them to also investigate the situation. The city council members are demonstrating religious hostility, which is one of the things that the court in Masterpiece said is blatantly unconstitutional.
Right. Well, and it's interesting because when I was talking with Councilman Brockhouse today, he was saying, that San Antonio does have a non-discrimination ordinance, and to his knowledge, Chick-fil-A has not violated that, yet, they're being cast aside here.
Yeah, which is the ironic thing about it, because Chick-fil-A serves everyone, and so it would seem that the only ones discriminating are the government officials.
What are you hoping will come of your investigation at this point?
Well, we're hoping to acquire some evidence to send to the Department of Transportation and even the Texas Attorney General's office possibly to investigate their actions and hopefully get the city council members, to rethink that decision and allow Chick-fil-A in the airport.
All right. And it sounds like it's possible that things could change tomorrow night as well. I want to ask you, though, a little bit about the larger picture here, because as we know, LGBT activists seem focused right now on Chick-fil-A restaurants at airports. This is happening in Buffalo, New York at the airport there, also in the San Jose airport. And I'm just wondering, why do you think that airport restaurants have become such a target?
It's really hard to say. I think that the most important thing to remember is that Chick-fil-A is allowed to operate just like any other restaurants, and it's unequal treatment, on the government's behalf, and to treat Chick-fil-A unlike any other restaurant. They deserve the same treatment, and doing anything just because they're a Christian organization is a violation of the Constitution and federal law.
All right, and I assume you'll be watching tomorrow night's council meeting, and then that will also dictate where your investigation goes here.
Absolutely.
All right, well, Keisha Russell, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having us on.
Still ahead, how technology is helping unravel the mysteries of the upper room.
It's about the competition.
I kind of put that pressure on myself, and I think people had expectations.
It's about overcoming.
We use this phrase all the time, keep chopping, keep practicing hard.
It's about going the distance.
I think as a father, it's my job, to lead, just be the best husband and father I can be.
Watch Going the Distance with Sean Brown Saturday night at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Woohoo! Hi, Superbook fans. Here's something else you'll love. It's the new Superbook Bible app. It's packed with games, activities, and Superbook episodes that you can watch for free. Oh, no! There's trivia, a fun daily devotional, and answers to your Bible questions. Plus, an easy-to-understand Bible the whole family will enjoy. You can even create your own Superbook character. Ta-da! Whoa!
A Millsburg Falls man coming...
Sorry, pardon me. Sorry, excuse me. Ouch!
Are you getting this?
Earn super points to win daily prizes, too. And so much more! Time to get back to my adventures. See you soon. It's the new Superbook Bible app. Free downloads on iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon.
discover the I wills of God. I will rescue him, protect him, answer him, be with him in trouble, deliver him, honor him, satisfy him with long life, show him my salvation.
What I felt was loved and treasured.
God spared my life twice in 3 days.
The good Lord had given me a second chance.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or visit CBN.com. The I Wills of God, the latest teaching from Pat Robertson.
Welcome back. Right now, thousands of Christian pilgrims are in Jerusalem. They're celebrating Holy Week, visiting the historic locations where Christ spent his final days with his disciples. CBN Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell shows us how technology is helping unravel the mystery of one of those sacred sites.
The Bible tells us Jesus had a final Passover meal with his disciples before going to the cross. The Cenaculum on Mount Zion is the traditional site, but is this where it really happened?
Christian pilgrims from all over the world come here to the Upper Room to remember the Last Supper of Jesus Christ. Now, Israeli archaeologists know more about this site than ever before.
The Last Supper room is one of the most holy places in Jerusalem. We couldn't conduct here clear and classical archaeological excavation.
So they turned to state-of-the-art technology to uncover the Upper Room's secrets.
Using laser measurement, laser scanning, and an advanced photography technique, we managed to create an accurate 3D model of the place. We even managed to penetrate inside the ancient stones.
For years, many wondered, when was the room built and is it the real place?
Suddenly, we needed to decipher signs and symbols from the wall. Suddenly, we managed to date it, and this wonderful structure is dating to the Crusader period.
Archaeologist Amit Ra'em said they discovered two biblical symbols never before seen in the Upper Room.
On the keystone, you could see the Holy Lamb, the Agnus Dei.
On another keystone, there's a lion.
The lion actually is a symbol of King David. Now we know, according to the Bible, that Jesus is a descendant of the Davidic dynasty.
Underneath the 12th century Crusader church, there's evidence of a magnificent 4th century Byzantine church.
And maybe the Byzantine built their church on much earlier and ancient sacred site.
For many, visiting the Upper Room is a moving experience.
It's fantastic. It's like this place has the power of the presence, is like a different note on the scale of the Song of God.
Being in Israel during this season and then being in places like the Upper Room just make a huge difference in my faith.
Ra'em says he's learned one thing as an archaeologist about traditions.
Hear this ancient tradition, explore there, because inside them is hidden some truth.
Chris Mitchell, CBN News, the Upper Room, Jerusalem.
Coming up, a missionary couple serving in remote Tonga see their story made into a movie a second time.
As the world watches from the outside,
It's a big diplomatic tug of war here in the Middle East.
go inside the story with Jerusalem Dateline.
Israeli archaeologists are talking about a discovery that could change the thinking about the Temple Mount.
Join CBN Jerusalem Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell and get the biblical perspective on the events shaping the world.
What starts in Israel then ends up going to other places.
Watch Jerusalem Dateline, Friday night at 9:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Orphans Promise is committed to loving and serving at-risk children, to helping keep families together, and to creating opportunities for strong and sustainable communities around the world. We're working in over 60 countries around the world, and with your help, we can do even more. There's an old African proverb I love that says, if you want to run fast, run alone. But if you want to run far, run together. At Orphans Promise, we want to run far so we can touch the lives of as many orphaned and vulnerable children as possible. But we don't want to go alone. We're out to change the world, one child, one family, one community at a time. Will you join us?
Meet the pastors who are preaching the gospel in a fresh, fearless way. I'm Roberto Torresadillo. Join me each week for Next Gen Voices. And watch God transform a generation.
When I came to Regent University, it's like the world opened up. I felt like I needed to advance my career and go back to school. Regent was a perfect fit for me. The Regent professors are world class. You are equipped. The focus of the faculty is on each individual student, whether it's online or in person. You become a part of Regent's family. You carry with you not just the content and the knowledge, but the confidence to understand that we can be significant in the world.
Regent University. Follow your path.
It's been nearly 2 decades since Anne Hathaway starred in the film The Other Side of Heaven. It was the story of an American couple who ventured to Tonga to work as missionaries. The movie's sequel is set to be released in June, but CBN Studio 5 has this exclusive first look at The Other Side of Heaven 2, Fire of Faith.
Do you have any idea how many miles that light has traveled to shine down on you?
On us.
See your smile.
Oh, I got a letter from Salt Lake today. What's wrong?
How soon can you have that baby? Elder Monson, we believe the Lord sent us here for a reason. He will see us through.
Welcome back, Kolipoki.
It's been a long time.
I will build your chapels, Kolipoki, and you will fill them.
I'm having a baby.
Holy cow! Get out of the way! Move it, girl. That's it. That's it.
That is my island. Give them all my love.
Thank you for sending us there.
You should never ask a Tongan mother to choose between her husband and her son.
There will be challenges, but the Lord will take care of you. I want to be baptized now.
You stole my son. He is dead to me.
And for a complete look at what's new in uplifting entertainment this week, be sure to watch an all-new episode of Studio 5 tonight at 9:30 on the CBN News Channel. And before we go, we have a correction to report on the student walkout over a transgender student who was a boy using the girls' restroom. We reported the school was in Nebraska, but it was actually in Iowa. Well, that is it for this edition of NewsWatch. You can find more on the issues that you care about most at cbnnews.com. And you can watch CBN News programs anytime on our CBN News channel. Plus, tell us what you think about the stories that you've seen here by emailing newswatch@cbn.com or talk to us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We hope that you will join us next time. Have a great day.